It has been a little while since I have last driven. I have not been in the mood at all. Not good. So, I've been playing a lot of Destiny, which is starting to annoy me in its grindiness. The problem I have with Destiny is I really enjoy the game. Like, it's a beautiful game, and it's got such... it's really fun, but it's just utterly, it's the same thing over and over and over again, and it's just kind of a grind. You're always just, okay, I've got to go do my 3 strikes, then I've got to go do my nightfall, and then I got to go do my this, that. I mean, it's fun, but after, there's nothing wrong with it. It just feels like the ultimate hamster wheel in some ways. The thing with KartKraft is there's really no game aspect to this. It's just a sim. You don't expect anything other than it just being a sim. And it delivers in that regard. Ooh, that was attractive. I really do have this weird relationship with Sim where there's periods where I just want nothing to do with it. And it's usually related to shit going on in life. The other weird effect is usually when I go do actual races in real life, when I go race go-karts as opposed to sim go-karts, I kind of lose... It's not that I lose enthusiasm, it's just something happens. I just don't want to deal with it. There's a weird... I've never figured out what exactly it is that goes on after a race that makes me so hesitant to sim. It usually takes me a few weeks to get my act back in gear and get back on the sim. And to me, really, this is all just... I guess the purpose of the sim, right, to me is more like... It's a means to an end. It's meant to keep me sharp, to go do the real deal, because the real deal is what I really love. But I can't do the real deal right now, because there's all sorts of shit going on in my life that sort of prevent that. So I think what's going on. So I don't really want to sim, because what's the point? I'm not going to be racing anytime soon. But it's a bit of a catch-22, which is, well, if I don't sim, I'm going to completely lose the facility that I've built, with the car, or, with carts in general. So, I feel like I have to sim, because it's all I've got for the time being. And that's kind of a weird position to be in, and not one that I want to be in. So, sometimes the answer is, fuck it, I'll just go play Destiny. Oh god, it's such a good sim though. See, it's hard to stay mad, right? Because KartKraft, even though it's got so many flaws, is utterly fucking brilliant for this purpose that you're seeing right here. Going out and pounding some laps and forgetting... Oh god, that's nice. Forgetting just felt good. It's very realistic, in a way, right? In VR here, this feels like karting. Very much. it exactly the same? No, but in general, it would be hard-pressed to articulate the difference. I mean, yeah, you can go on and say, oh, well, it's obviously not the same because, the experience isn't the same. You're sitting in your basement driving a rig, and there's no interaction with the actual world, right? There's no real-world consequences. Yes, all that is completely true. And when you drive in real life, you do not do, like, for example, taking those curbs like that, you fucking would not do that at AMP. Those curbs would eat you alive, I think. Furthermore, the Sendy kind of drive really hard, like I do here. You'll notice, like, you never see me driving at, like, 8. It's always, like, 10, pretty much, right? It kind of has to be. Because, well, you're not going to get hurt. You're not going to break anything. Your cart, it's not going to cost you money when you inevitably fuck up the cart. Plus, I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but if I'm not mistaken, we're reaching 92 miles an hour before we slam on the brakes going into that turn at the back end, at the end of the middle back straight, right? So, I mean, them serious numbers. That is not slow. That is probably the equivalent to, an F1 car doing 200 something. So yeah. There's a whole other level of shit to contend with in real life that you obviously don't contend with in KartKraft, and that definitely influences how you drive, or at least definitely influences the kind of way you attack turns and, the limits that you push, etc. The consequences of me locking up here and, sliding off into the grass and then bouncing off the wall is non-existent, but in real life it is very real. So, yeah. But, going back to the actual visceral experience of the cart, yeah, real life cart has more visceral experience too, right? Because, of course, well, it's real. That being said, there is more than enough visceral experience in this sim to give you a pretty good facsimile of the karting experience. Now, I have a well-developed rig. I've got a good rig. It's, not using a Logitech, whatever, on a table clamp to my desk, and I'm not sitting in a desk chair, with sneakers holding my seat in place. I've got a pretty nice setup that I've spent a lot of time, many years building, and got 6 shakers going and everything else, and I've got really good force feedback and really good sense of the cart. Probably more so than people who don't use shakers or motion, because I can pick up what SimHub is sending me, right? And I'm sending to basically signals, if the right rear wheel is doing something, it's vibrating away across the shakers on, the appropriate quadrant of my existing rig. Is it as good as it would be in real life? No, of course not. But there's enough data there that my butt is picking up that informs me about what the cart is doing. How much further I can push the tire, how much, more the chassis will give me, etc., etc., etc. So I am getting a sense of the cart. Like, I could feel the cart come. I can feel stuff very, very clearly here. And that may be a function of, my setup, but I have to say, the game in itself does a fabulous job through the steering wheel alone. And I mean that, you don't need shakers to enjoy the game. You don't need a motion rig to enjoy the game. What you get through the steering wheel is friggin' phenomenal. And gosh, with the DD, it's even better. Like, when I was using the Fanatec belt-driven wheel, that was also very good, but the DD is just way, way better. I really want to try someday one of the fancy DDs, one of the 20 or 30 Newton meter ones. The point of having more power isn't that they, how do you say, rip your arm off. I mean, yes, it can, but the point of having more power is to have more detail, if I understand correctly. So somebody with a 30 Newton meter jobby is going to feel more fine detail than me with my little 8 Newton meter jobby. But with that being said, as a comparison to my previous belt drives, it's night and day. It's that good. And the fact of the matter is they've gotten so inexpensive, relatively speaking, that there is absolutely zero reason for anyone to buy belt drive ever again outside of the used market. Like, I just don't see how it makes any sense. Because, if you've got Fanatec putting this product out for what was basically $500, just imagine what a much bigger company could do in terms of pricing. So it's pretty exciting time, I think, for sim racers in general, right? Because the technology has gotten better and better and better, and it's getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Well, that's not entirely true, right? Things like video cards have gotten better and better and better, but they've also gotten absurdly expensive. That being, having moderated pretty dramatically lately, because it was mostly pandemic driven, but it was also mining driven. So the double whammy of people mining and the pandemic made it impossible to get a video card, as many of you are aware, for a very long time. And I was looking at video card prices online the other day, just for fun, and it really looks like you can, get, for example, the 30 series. It's being replaced by the 40 series coming up shortly, and I'm sure Radeon, or ATI rather, or whoever, the other guys are probably doing a similar move, similar timing. These 30 series cards are really good. They're really powerful. They're way more powerful than you're probably going to need, in most circumstances. Now, for the vast majority of gamers, they don't need a 3090. The 3060 Ti that I have, I mean, it's like running a 1080 Ti or something. It's really good, or like a 2080 or something. I mean, it's not a bad card in its own right. I'm running VR on this thing right now, and as you can see, I'm getting a solid 90 frames a second. I've got shadows on medium. I've got, pretty much everything on high. One thing I leave off is the particle effects, like smoke and dust effects. So, like, if I lock up my wheels, you won't get that beautiful smoky thing in the back. You'll get some sort of more basic version. But yeah, the 3060 is running the HP G2 Reverb. But is it running it at full resolution? No. But am I happy with this? Yeah. Is it better than my Lenovo? Oh my god, yes. And so maybe, like, if you want to run a modern VR unit, I guess at full resolution, 3090, 3080 or something like that would be the ticket. But I guess what I'm hearing is the 4090 or the 4000 series just doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now, in the sense that, like, the 3 series is still so friggin' good that it exceeds the needs, in most cases, of most everyone. I think friend of mine just picked up an open box 3090 for $800. So, you know, that's normal money. Those are normal prices. Dish. And, you know, at $800, that may well be worth it. At some point I need to do an upgrade, because I am running, like I said, this at 55% as opposed to 100%. So it'd be nice to be able to run the game with all bells and whistles, but I don't really feel like spending $800 on a new video card. And I'm pretty sure that if I did, I'd probably need more than a 650 power supply, which is what I think I have. So I'd probably end up having to, go buy another power supply, unless the 650 is sufficient. The other thing I wouldn't mind doing is upgrading my internal SSD. Or I need more disk space, basically. But, you know, my C drive is the fast internal SSD, but it's only 500 gigabytes. So that's something I'd like to have, 2 terabytes instead, or something like that, so I could run. So I could have a lot more applications on the computer. Right now I keep, like, KartKraft, a couple other games, but that's it, because they take up a lot of space. So it doesn't give me the ability to sort of say, ooh, I want to go try this game. Well, I could, put it on a different drive, but I kind of like running the applications off the fast drive. So I tend to do that. Oh, that feels good. That wasn't too bad either. It was a 12-1, so that was a decent turn. It is remarkable how if you spend less time being full throttle, sometimes you just drive better. I'm kind of slow as hell, but that's to be expected. I haven't driven in a few days. And I guess that wasn't, it's not slow as hell. I'll probably, by the time I'm done, if I were to stick with this for a little longer, manage to get back down to the low 45s, maybe 45-0, 45-1, but to make that push to go deeper, it's kind of hard. Unfortunately, the ghost of Corey, who is number 6, who I'm up against, is broke. He's got a problem with this ghost of some sort. And it's not just me. Other people he knows says, "Hey, your ghost is fucked up." Anyway, this ghost doesn't leave the pits. And yet, when you go complete your lap, it says you won. Right? Even because, well, relative to Corey's ghost, who hasn't moved, you have. But, of course, that is going to cause a problem when it then tries to report this new time, which is in fact slower than Corey's best time, as being faster than it. I'm sure it kind of looks like this. Game sends signal, hey, new fast lap. He beat Corey with a 47.8. KartKraft server that stores all the information says, well, that's great, but Corey's time is 44.8. So I'm not going to accept your time. Well, what do you mean you're not going to accept my time? So they go back and forth like this forever, eternally. And eventually you just have to quit out of the game. So, anyway, sometimes racing against the other people's ghosts provides you with the motivation to, I don't know, keep driving. A lot of people find it easier to go put down their fastest laps in solo mode like I am now, because they can just not chase the ghost. You know, chasing the ghost tends to make you make mistakes, but I like it because it's kind of more realistic to life anyway. You know, if you're chasing somebody on track, you're chasing somebody on track. You still have to make the right decisions, and you have to know when to cool it and know when to blow, but anyway, being forced to go minimal only to try to beat Corey's time is kind of a bummer. The back to come around, but that was too much. There was a lesson in there for me somewhere, which hopefully some dark part of my brain absorbed. I'm sure it will. Find that, like, you know, you do something interesting on track, it sort of worms its way into your brain, and it'll come back out under the right circumstances, and then you'll be like, aha, I've seen this before. And you'll be like, ah, yes, this was effective last time. Now I understand it better, or something. God, the power these things have is just ridiculous, relatively speaking. Look at that, my optimal 45.1. Alright, so yeah, my headset freaked out where it was like doing the image wrong, which is kind of why I bought the new headset, and now it's doing the same thing as the old one. It's like, oh fuck, I broke this one too. So it's hard to find a fix for, but you know, 'cause how do you describe the problem? Well, the problem is so VR is basically two monitors, one on your left eye, one on your right eye. And when you look through the VR helmet, you know, those two eyes converge, if you will, into a complete image that occupies, you know, most of your field of vision. When I put on my helmet, what would happen is you would, so if you look through the left eye looks kind of normal, and then you look through the right eye, and the right eye you're only getting half the screen, and everything is shrunk 50%. So you're getting, like, completely distorted. It's not distorted, the image is clear, it's just tiny, relatively speaking, only occupying about a third of the available viewing real estate, and you're seeing the entire thing, including the non-used edges. So, you know, when you look through VR, you're seeing two circles, but in reality, their shape is uglier around the sides than that, and blah blah blah. Anyway, so you're seeing the whole thing, and it was all fucked up. So if you go to settings and you mess around in the Windows mixed reality settings for the headset, you can play with various options about resolution, etc. and change things from let Windows decide. Anyway, messing with those settings, one of them related to resolution, cleared the issue. And now everything's running hunky-dory again. What's weird is that if I try to run the headset, actually, yeah. Anyway, I get that weird blocky image if I try to do one particular setting, which seems to be a not unheard of problem because some other people have had it too. It suggests that my other Reverb G2 is not in fact broken. That it too ran into the same thing, and that probably was fixable. That's good to know. If this one ever truly breaks, then I can go try that one again. Whee! Alright, I'm gonna go shoot some aliens in the face for a little while. It was good to get back out on track, but I don't really feel like doing too much.